Hey everybody, I just want to first say I'm sorry about the lack of videos. I've been really swamped with gigs lately and it's just been really hard to get to this, but I just want to let you know that going forward, whenever I can make a video, I will make a video. This week we're going to focus on a very underrated trumpet player, but really he was one of the great trumpet players of all time, and that is Lewis Smith. I usually make my private students at least transcribe one of his solos, since there's so much great language that we can learn from it. In today's video, we're going to look at his solo over a B-flat rhythm changes called Bakin. I'm going to take a couple concepts and a couple categories of licks and talk about how we can break them down and then put them back into our own playing. Okay, let's talk about it right now. Okay, so whenever I learn licks or jazz language from a transcription, I always try to categorize it into what it's used for. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So the first type of lick, or the first category of lick that we're going to look at is tonic major licks. These are lines that can be used just over a static major chord, or in other words, a major chord that doesn't go anywhere. Lewis plays a couple of these lines in his solo, and the first one sounds like this. This is a great line because it implies other chords over our static major chord. In a way, it's just expanding the sound of one. So the progression that Lewis is really playing is this. I especially love the passing diminished chord that leads to D minor 7. It really adds some tension and release to our static major line. He implies this passing diminished chord by playing an A major triad, which comes out of our D flat diminished scale and sounds like this. He makes this work by enclosing the F going to the D minor 7 with notes from the D flat diminished scale, specifically being E and G. With that in mind, let's think about all the different ways that we could play an A major triad and enclose the tone F out of that triad. Now let's try to combine these phrases with the progression that Lewis taught us and create some of our own lines using this expanded chord progression that expands tonic 1. Here's another great line that Lewis uses to expand that static tonic major chord. Super simple, but it works. Here's the progression that Lewis is implying. So what that means is whenever we have a 1 major chord, we can play 1, 2, 5, 1, and it'll work. Here are some examples using that exact same chord progression. So the next type of licks I want to cover is tonic dominant lines. And much like our static major chords, these are lines that are played over static dominant chords. You can find this in the B section of our rhythm changes, which is why this solo is such a great tool to learn these kind of lines. Keep in mind that in these lines, Lewis is often using arpeggios, enclosures, and chromaticism. Here is our first example. So by itself, this would be a great line to play over dominant 2 chords. You can find these in a ton of jazz standards, but a really common example would be on Take the A Train. You could just plug and chug this lick directly into Take the A Train. The next thing you could do is break this line up into 2 different parts. The first part could be used to expand the 5 chord in a 2-5-1 progression. You could link this line with a short 2-5-1. Check it out. The second part of this line could be used over a minor chord in a 2-5-1 progression. If that's the case, then we could just add, again, another short 2-5-1 line to the end of this line, and you can make a really nice sounding jazz phrase. The last category of lines that I want to pull from is turnaround progressions. These are chord progressions like 3-6-2-5-1, or any type of progression that leads us back to our 1 chord. Here are a couple lines that Lewis plays over these types of progressions that I think you should know. The cool thing about these lines is that the part of the line that's played on the 3-6 can be repeated on the part of the line that's on the 2-5. You just have to move it to match whatever chord you're playing over. Check it out. All this does is just give you more options to play over this turnaround, and you can mix and match them too. You can also use the phrases at the end of these lines over just that 2-5 going to 1 as short 2-5 licks. You could even link it with the previous phrase that we were talking about over the static dominant chord to make a really great 2-5-1 line. So just to recap, we talked about how to expand just a static major 1 chord by implying other progressions over it, lines over static dominant chords that Lewis played, and how to break them up into other lines that we could use over other types of chords, and lastly, turnaround lines and how we can take different parts of the turnaround line and use them in different ways. I would highly encourage you to learn this solo on your own, as the best way to learn this type of language is to learn it by ear, from the record, from the masters. Thanks for watching this video about Lewis Smith and his amazing bebop lines. If you want more videos about Lewis Smith and other solos that he's done, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. Also, I wanted to put in a small plug for a new virtual program that I'm teaching at called CMS Detroit. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to sign up for classes through this program. Along with myself, there's a bunch of really great faculty members that are all staples in the Detroit jazz scene. You'll be able to learn from any one of them, as well as being able to learn from some guest artists that are supposed to come in later on through the semester. There's also a lot of generous scholarship offers. So if you're a high schooler and you want to learn more about jazz and really study under some really professional heavy cats, make sure to click that link below. All right. Thanks for watching, and remember to always keep swinging.